Association of World Citizens has been actively concerned with the fate of indigenous people since the mid-1980s, when the Commission on Human Rights created a working group on indigenous peoples. The first issue to come up was, who are the indigenous people? When the Commission set up the working group, the idea was that they would deal primarily with what are called Indians in the United States, Canada, and Latin America, and with the Bush people of Australia. However, the Association of World Citizens was concerned at that time with tribal societies in northeast India, in particular the Nagas, and with the Chittagong Hill Tracts tribes of Bangladesh. And so I had raised the issue of these two indigenous people, and was stopped immediately by the ambassadors of India and Bangladesh, who said these people are not indigenous. And in fact, they are not indigenous. Most people have, in fact, traveled from somewheres to where they are now. The hill tribes of northeast India and Bangladesh came originally from what is now southern China and Tibet, and over the last 1,000 years have spread through Indochina, through Burma, through Thailand, through northern India and Bangladesh. However, the only existing convention on indigenous people was an ILO convention termed Indigenous and Tribal Societies. And my argument was that, no, you're correct, Mr. Ambassador, these are not indigenous, but these are tribal. These are people who have continued over the centuries to have a tribal form of leadership and organization. And the representative of the ILO supported me in my argumentation, and the working group permitted me to continue and to work on these and to speak on these groups. It shows, in a sense, that one has to know enough about the way in which the whole UN system operates. That is, that there are groups such as the Commission of Human Rights, which depend on the Economic and Social Council. However, the ILO is a separate organization, but part of the UN system. The High Commission for Refugees also has resolutions and conventions, and many of these overlap in some way, and so that one has to know, in a sense, the way in which the various conventions within the UN family operate, and to be able to use resolutions from and conventions from one organization in order to support work in the others. Therefore, the Association of World Citizens was able to continue its work on the tribal groups in northeast India and Bangladesh, and work also for conflict resolution, because in both areas there were armed insurgencies, and we worked so that negotiations in good faith were in fact carried out by both governments, and there was an end to the armed insurgencies. There is still the problem of minority status, of being looked down upon, of having insecure titles to property, so that we remain concerned with these areas, but the armed insurgencies have ended, and these are examples of the ways in which non-governmental organizations can help facilitate negotiations in good faith, which ultimately have to be carried out by the governments and by the armed insurgencies.